Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is tactical games athlete Matt Kempson. He's a Colorado resident, backcountry skier, and is into much more than that. I really enjoyed sitting down and getting to know Matt today. Is the first time we had met, and I thoroughly enjoyed his company, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Matt, congratulations, man. Appreciate you being here. Congratulations on bouncing all over the country.
Thanks, man.
You've been to like 4 different cities before you even showed up here, right?
In like the last 24 hours, I went from Jersey to New York to Alabama to Nashville to here in Colorado and heading back to Jersey tomorrow or today.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah,
what are you doing, man? Just jet setting or like?
So I work part-time as a field engineer for a company fixing manufacturing equipment. So they shoot me all over the U.S. for that. But I'm also, in the last month, I've traveled to 3 or 4 different states for races, for tactical games events, as well as just going places to ski. I mean, I just like traveling.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the next time you get out here, we're going to have to get in the backcountry and do a little bit of snowshoeing and then skiing down or snowboarding down. So
100%.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So where do you normally go when you're here? Do you have a favorite spot?
Yeah, me and my buddy have been skiing Berthoud Pass for a long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like we feel pretty comfortable with that spot.
Pretty easy to get into too.
Pretty easy to get into, and you can kind of get like you can scare yourself as much as you want out there. There's no limit to terrain out there. We do that. We go Rocky Mountain National Park. We've been trying to ski Dragon's Tail for a while now.
I've never done that, but
it's pretty gnarly, and you have to hit the snow just right. And that's like every time we go there, there's either not enough snow or too much snow, and you're just making a judgment call that's like it could end my life today if we make the wrong call on this. So we haven't hit it quite right yet, but it'll be soon.
Yeah, you got to know what you're doing. You got to watch those avalanche reports and fucking have some good people with you. And
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like it's Mother Nature. Like they hold the cards. Like you're rolling the dice either way, which is kind of great.
I'm not that hardcore, so we might be on different levels, but I'm very much a hitchhike up Loveland Pass and fucking ride down. I don't even know if you can do that anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
We used to do it as kids all the time, man.
I'm probably within the last 2 years I've done it a couple times.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's actually some of the best snow.
And you're a skier?
I've snowboarded a little bit.
Okay.
But I ski raced in college, and then I actually worked. I originally moved out to Colorado to work for a company designing and manufacturing skis, bamboo powder skis here in Colorado. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Great, man. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're touching on it a little bit, but are you a Colorado native? Did you grow up here? Or
no. So I
spend a lot of time here.
I grew up in Vermont, which is like Colorado, the East Coast kind of, and then moved out here, like I said, to pursue a career in ski design back in like 2014 maybe, so about 7 years ago now. And I've been from Denver to Boulder, Longmont, Durango, kind of lived all over. And now I'm currently back on the East Coast making some real estate moves with my brother. But my primary residence is still technically back here in Colorado, and I'm out as often as I can to come ski, rock climb, do whatever I can, with my buddies that are still out here.
Speaking of your buddies, we've had your buddy Hunter McIntyre in here before. Real character. You and him are super tight. You guys actually were rooming together and training together during the Murph Challenge, right?
Yeah.
And you went and competed in that with him as well, right?
Which we're actually training for again this year to one-up our times from last year.
It's crazy. Jeremy, look back and see how far it was when we had Hunter in here. But I want to say it was like a year ago, man, and it is just flown by.
No, it was. Yeah.
It was probably the beginning of COVID maybe or right before.
Yeah. Great guy, man. We had a blast with him. We can't wait to get him back.
Yeah.
And
called him during Christmas.
Right.
yeah. Because I think he was just starting to get affiliated with Pure Spectrum, which you guys are tied into, right?
Yep. They're an awesome sponsor, by the way.
Absolutely.
Too. Yeah. Great company. And they're actually based right here in Evergreen, where our studio's at. So that even makes it better. So.
Oh yeah, I've been into their shop before, and they handed me a bunch of product, and I've been actually just ran out like I've been using their stuff
damn.
forever. Like, it's fantastic.
If we have some stuff here, I'll have to look. If we have some stuff here, I'll hook you up.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no, it is hands down the best CBD you're going to find in the market, man.
He was number 8, May 16th.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, we got to get Hunter back in here too. So shout out to Hunter McIntyre.
Yeah, we have a good time. We've been on and off roommates for a while, and like, I mean, we're just like two little kids. Anytime we get together, we do nothing but train and like go on adventures, like dress up like pirates, climb mountains naked, shotgun beers at 8:00 in the morning for no apparent reason, just having a good time.
Yeah, cheers to that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting a podcast next week.
That's awesome.
So this will be a good little practice for that.
So I got to ask, is it the Morning Wood? Because the last time he was in here, he was talking about he had a podcast idea, and we threatened to sue everybody because we got a lawyer next door. But yeah, he had mentioned something about a podcast called The Morning Wood. Is that the?
Yeah, it's gonna be Hunter and Matt's Morning Wood, and we're just gonna talk about whatever topics come to mind. Like, I mean, whether it has to do with racing, fitness, or girls, whatever,
Hell yeah. And you got to elaborate on it a little bit because Hunter was saying that you guys might be doing the podcast naked. I mean, I don't know, but
I'm all for dressing up in all sorts of like funkadelic outfits. We haven't talked about the naked thing, but I'm not opposed to it all. And we do naked runs all the time. Right. Where we just like strip down and we go out on a trail and like, with just a fanny pack with, or whatever. And people are pretty accepting of it. Actually, they get scared at first, but once they like realize what's going on and they're not like getting sexually assaulted, they're pretty open to it.
That's hilarious. No chafing though?
No, we got to butter up.
Okay.
Before you go, but that's like with anything,
So where are you doing this? Just like on the streets, or is it on a mountain trail?
No, like mountain trails. I mean,
okay.
Like that would be pretty ballsy to do it on the streets, but we used to do it down in Durango a lot when we lived down there, just the trails. And then the second Flatiron up in Boulder, we'll hike that. Like for our birthdays last year, we hiked that naked. And it's just a good feeling, like a good breeze, like on everything, and like you just feel like a man, climbing a mountain in your bare skin.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm. It's not really for me, but yeah, I could see where it would feel amazing.
I think you should try it.
One of my favorite things to do is when I'm bow hunting and you get back in September when it's hot, obviously, is just to strip down and take an outdoor shower. It's a fucking awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best shower you're ever going to get. Probably because you haven't showered in a couple days or whatever, at that point. But But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So what's Hunter up to now? Have you talked to him lately, or?
I was actually on the phone with him this morning.
Oh, cool.
He is. He's got a lot going on. When COVID hit, and both of our kind of regular routines with the events we were training for all got shuffled around. We both made some lateral shifts to pursue other stuff. Like he's designing training programs. He's training for Murph again this year. He's starting a YouTube channel, so he's like busy as heck with that. He started a virtual OCR competition. I started at the beginning of COVID. I was designing and building obstacles for some of the race companies that I used to race for. And when COVID hit and there was kind of like the shortage in gym equipment, I shifted over to making like pull-up bars, squat racks, and rigs for gyms and like private people.
Smart, man. It's so hard to find shit. Like I was looking for a full set of kettlebells before the COVID hit, and I found a really good company here in town that was
Rep Fitness.
Yeah,
dude, it was fantastic. I love
super
them.
affordable. I mean, we have Onnit. I called them Onnit as a sponsor, and I was like, "What's the chances of me getting a set of kettlebells, like a double set?" And they were like, "Are you Joe Rogan?" And I was like, "No." And like, slim to none.
Seriously,
like they couldn't even get them.
I made one pull-up bar for a friend who I race with, and he put it on his Instagram, and I like immediately had 50 messages from people like, dude, where can I get a pull-up bar? Like you can't find them
way to
anywhere
capitalize,
right now.
man.
That's
Shit.
like, I mean, like with what's happened in the last year, like you have to pivot, like you got to do whatever, go with the flow kind of.
That's why we got this podcast going.
Yeah.
Now I actually have multiple ones too, because everybody wants to start one now, so, but.
That's fun. Like
it's
podcast
a blast, man.
It's just a good way to like really like find out what, like how people's brains work, what makes them tick, and just interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad this worked out because it was kind of on short notice, and we've been hitting you up for a while to get you in here, but we do everything in person, and everything is so virtual these days. Like me and Jeremy were supposed to go to Laramie this week to record one, but the guy got sick, so we just bagged it all. We're like, it's probably not the best time to go visit somebody that's sick. And and it worked out perfect that you were here for just what? You flew in yesterday, right?
I flew in yesterday, and I'm out in like a couple hours.
Damn.
In and out, and that'll be this. I'll probably be coming out again in a few weeks.
Awesome.
And I come in, I get my business done, and I get out.
That's the way to do it. So you and Hunter both come from the obstacle course racing world, right?
Yep.
Are you still heavily involved with that? I know the new thing that you're training for now is like it's it's obstacle course racing with tactical shooting and incorporated into it, right?
Yeah. So my association with obstacle racing now is mostly course design. I've done a couple obstacles for companies. I did an obstacle for Spartan Race last year. And this upcoming year, I've got a few companies that I'm designing like whole short courses for. So sort of like high intensity, almost like a combination between like CrossFit, Ninja Warrior type courses. And then, so that's sort of the extent of my association with the obstacle racing world these days. But as far as competition goes, I've started doing tactical games, which is, like you said, it's sort of a combination of running, CrossFit, and competitive shooting. And it's really, I've been looking for an event that really tests like strength and endurance and athleticism, all those like facets pretty
Not to mention coordination at the end of it, right?
And coordination, and it's this tactical games event, it just like hits the nail on the head. I really haven't found anything like the weights, they're big league weights that are in. I mean, we're doing 400-pound farmers carries at the last event.
Damn.
I mean, like 195-pound axle bar cleans, front rack carries for 200 yards, which your average endurance athlete is not going to be able to do. And then so mix that in with also a good amount of running. You're running with a weight vest and a full kit, and then trying to shoot, we're taking 300-yard shots with our rifles in the middle of the competition, 30-yard pistol shots on 2-inch strips of paper.
Like when you're fatigued, yeah.
When you're fatigued, exactly. Like, it's a challenge.
So what is the scoring system? Is it a time deal and then how close you are on target, or how does that work?
Basically, there's 8 events over a course of 2 days over the weekend, and each event you get a score for, and your score is essentially the time it takes you to complete the event plus a penalty for each shot you miss, which is typically 10 seconds. So if it took you, let's say, 10 minutes to complete the event, and then you missed 10 shots, you're adding a minute 40 on. So now your time is 11:40 rather than 10 minutes.
That's awesome. I got to watch some of this stuff, man. I've never seen it before, but now that we've had you on here, we're going to be following you on that. And
yeah, it's fun, man.
When's the next competition coming up, and where can somebody, if they wanted to view it, where could they do that?
So next competition that I'm doing is in Texas on March 5th and 6th. And if you follow the Tactical Games Instagram page, it's just The Tactical Games, they do a pretty good job at like posting stories of the events as the weekend goes along, as well as recaps. But also, like, if you like my Instagram, I'll like over the course of the weekend, I'll try to post a picture of like each workout before we start, so that people kind of see, like, because my people are trying to follow.
Go ahead and drop your Instagram too, if it's
at Rocky Mountain Kempson.
Awesome.
I guess
so Dan, there you are.
Is this going to be live, like what he's seeing there on?
So yeah, this. He'll catch it from the wide shot, and then we also, our video editing guy will go and grab this screenshot with your permission, obviously.
Sweet. Yeah.
And we'll put it over,
that's
lay it over the
that's
video.
a good shot of me. I like, I would definitely
that's
put that
great fucking
on like
shot,
a
man.
dating profile or whatever,
Tinder.
Right?
Yeah. Although, I don't know, this day and age, like, I'm so sick of everything being virtual. Like,
oh my God, yeah, tell me about it.
I got no interest in the online dating scene, or even like, I'm so stoked that you guys wanted me to come in person for this, because I'm like...
That's what it's all about for us in this podcast specifically. I have another one that's completely virtual with some buddies of mine, and it's great because they're the type of people, that I would go and run naked with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And just seeing their faces makes me smile every week, and they're in different parts of the country. Yeah. So one of the guys is in Brooklyn, the other guy's in LA, and then I'm here in the Rocky Mountains. And then we bring in a guest, every week. But that's Show Ready Podcast, and that's just us being fucking idiots, really. But
Dude,
it's
that's
a
what
good
life's all
time.
about, man.
Yeah.
Like, too many people are too freaking serious with everything they do, and I like have made it my life goal to just not take myself too like crush everything I want to do, but not take it.
You can't
too
take
seriously.
yourself too seriously, man. You're not going to have a good time. Like,
No.
we wouldn't be able to sit here and smile and laugh if you weren't a little bit relaxed about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if this was just so serious, we don't script anything. This is the first time you and I have met. You know what I mean? It's just
5 minutes ago.
and this is the best way to meet somebody, I think, in person, you know? And
Yeah.
plus, we got a full bar here. We can have a cocktail together,
hurt.
you know?
It doesn't hurt.
Even if it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
So you're running this whole thing with a full rig?
Yeah, so you have a 15-pound weight vest on that they check it with a scale right before the event. And then you have your a rifle, your long gun, which probably is going to weigh 6, 7, 8 pounds, full ammo, which is another 3 or 4 pounds, and then your sidearm, which is going to be another 2 to 3 pounds, depending on what you're carrying. So, I mean, you add it all up, you're looking at about 30-pound kit on top of everything.
And is there any hand-to-hand type stuff that happens in it? Like,
There's not, but it would be pretty cool.
that'd be like next level, right?
Yeah, there's
Maybe in a couple years.
There's some events that have like Broken Skull Ranch, which they're not doing anymore. Spartan just put on an event called the Spartan Games where they had like a Ring of Death wrestling, and I love that, man. Like I grew up with me and my brother were scrapping all the time, so like give me that all day long.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be good with like some edge weapon type stuff or something like that. Would be pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I don't know how you would work that in. That's just my creative mind working without knowing fucking anything about it.
We're wild animals. Let's introduce wild animals
Yeah.
into the.
Dude, so I was
Let's
listening.
get some tanks and Humvees and helicopters and fucking.
Dude, speaking of knives, I was like listening to your last podcast you guys did with Donnie Dust, and he's like making knives out of like moose poop.
me those. So
is that the moose poop he's talking about?
yeah,
The
so
glue?
pick that up, man. It is it's super light. So this guy literally goes out in the wilderness
It smells a little poopy.
in just a loincloth a lot of the time. In the winter months, I think he's going out in a jacket or something like that. It's like some sort of clothes, right? You have to not catch, hypothermia. But yeah, he made me those, which was super nice of him. And some of the other stuff he brought in was just freaking incredible. So he just starts with a round river rock and just starts making these badass weapons. I mean, there's a spear point, arrowhead point there, and then he had a knife with a full-on handle that he had carved out, and he used that. So it's a mixture of like pine sap, moose or deer poop, and I think there was one other thing that he put in there, maybe like some sort of plant fibers.
I think it was like a charcoal or something, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, wood charcoal. And he heats it up on the fire and then just molds it into a ball, and then when he needs to reuse it, it's like Gorilla Glue or an epoxy.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit is solid.
Well, so I was saying that I used to work for a company designing, making like powder skis.
Yeah.
And we would so everything was like Colorado made, right? Colorado grown. And we would use pine sap as the resin, and it's like an absolute pain to work with. But the fact that it was like totally eco-friendly, like you could literally dice the ski up and throw it in your like wood stove and heat your house with it, and like completely not toxic.
Yeah. For sure, man. That stuff is fucking amazing, man. And Donnie's an amazing guy too, man. He's just salt of the earth, good dude.
Yeah.
Ex-Marine, like we didn't even go down his military background, but he's got this extensive background where he was like, they would just send him in the middle of Afghanistan by himself,
That's like so
like a John J. Rambo type thing. Or something.
Absolutely.
Dude, I was like,
so these competitions I'm doing now with the tactical games, it's open to anybody, right? So any athlete can do it. And I mean, I have an extensive background in functional fitness, and I grew up shooting, so it's like I'm pretty well prepared for it. And there's a lot of guys who are in the top level who are not military or police, but a lot of the guys are. There's like a lot of ex-military, ex-special forces,
yeah.
A lot of SWAT guys, and like narcotics officers. And these guys, they're bad dudes. They're like, like you're competing and you might, edge one guy out in a competition. You're like, but he's also killed like probably 20 people. Like, you know, like you can't really compare yourself too much to these people.
Right.
But that being said, they're such good dudes. Like I've done a lot of different types of competitions over the last, my whole athletic career. And they're some of the most like genuine competitors and people like that really like from their hearts want you to like succeed and do well and like just have a good time and compete with you. And it's like really kind of a special thing and a break, especially from like the endurance world where you come from a lot of like distance runners it's a very selfish sport, right? It's a very solo sport and there's not really looking out for
a lot of ego there,
of ego there, which is fine. Like that's what it takes to be number one and to be the best. But it's really refreshing to be surrounded by just good dudes like that, you know, and women too.
Yeah, that reminds me, I've been super fortunate with the line of work that I've been in. A lot of the high profile security guards and stuff that guard rock stars and have worked security details are ex-military special forces dudes. So I've gotten to know a lot of them. Some of the coolest guys to hang out with. And we would spend endless hours together, like 12 hours together standing in the same spot, you know, just shooting the shit all day because we didn't have anything better to do. And some of the most genuine people, and you would think guys like that would be cocky, but they're almost the exact opposite. They use cockiness as almost like a comedy or something. You know
I think
because
you like can't, like when you're in, I mean, this is talking from someone with zero military experience. I don't want to try to put myself on that level, but like when you're putting yourself in those situations, it's like ego gets you killed.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like they're just such natural team players that it's like that's
the
not
team aspect too is huge, right? They'll build you up to you know.
Oh yeah, like so I come from a team sports background. I was like baseball, high school, skiing in college. I did semi-pro rugby after that. So like everything was super, super team-based for me. And getting into the endurance world was like I didn't love the fact that everything was so solo and not team-based. So now kind of getting back into surrounding myself with those kind of people just feels good.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. I'm super interested in that competition. I would even like to compete in it.
Dude, you should.
I don't think that I would be any good, like in the top, probably 200 or whatever.
So,
but,
do you shoot?
But it would just be fun. Yeah, no, I love to shoot. Not enough.
I mean, honestly, like the shooting is not. I mean, they're difficult shots for sure, but they're nothing that you have to be like elite level SEAL sniper trained to make. You know, we're talking 300 yards. Like if you're a competent hunter, you're going to be basically already prepared for most of the shooting that they present to you. It's just a matter of can you make that shot that when you just, you know, carried, you know, did a 400-pound farmer's carry across this field, or you just had to run 3 miles with a full kit, or you just had to, you know, lift up a heavy sandbag and put it over a bar 100 times. Like, can you make that shot when you're freaking completely shot?
And that's actually how I enjoy to work out at home, but I'm an archery hunter.
Yeah.
So I'll do a bunch of reps and I'll shoot at 20 yards is about where I can, where my home gym's set up, you know. But I'll shoot a round of 6 arrows in between each rep. Shout out to Cameron Haynes for giving me the idea, you know.
Yeah.
But
keep hammering, baby.
When you're burnt out, you know, it affects your shot. And that's a real life hunting situation for the way that I hunt anyways. I go after the animals. I'm a lot of like spot and stock.
Yeah.
You know? I'm
do
not the
you
guy
hunt
that
with a
just
traditional bow?
I don't. I do shoot a traditional bow, but I hunt with a compound.
Yeah.
So
I started getting into bows about a year ago. Just a buddy of mine was doing workouts with bows, and so I went and like I bought one from some old dude in Longmont off Craigslist, and it's a Matthews.
sweet.
Actually, it's a really nice bow. And I've been just doing workouts.
It's a compound?
Yeah.
Oh, Matthews is one of the best companies out there.
Oh,
man.
It's a fantastic. And the thing it's so dialed in already. I mean, I was home in Vermont shooting a few weeks ago, and I set up my target at 70 yards and was putting beer cans in the middle of my my foam target, and I hit 3 in a row.
If you have the form and the discipline, like the right trigger pull, and you learn from somebody like Tom Klum down at Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear. Those guys
Dude, I follow him on Instagram. I love those guys.
They're Olympic coaches, basically. Yeah. I mean, they're Olympic certified coaches in archery, man. Just awesome people.
And so I actually use bow shooting for most of my training.
Oh, really?
Just because, I mean, this day and age, like you're talking $1 a round for 9mm or 5.56. So
that's why I don't shoot a lot, man.
It's just
and it's hard to come by.
It's super hard to come by. Like, and anytime I get good quality ammo, I'm saving up for competitions, so I can get the same. I mean, the mechanics are obviously different, but it's the same discipline of holding your sight on the target while you're fatigued, trigger release. Like, essentially your fundamentals are basically the same between bow and pistol and rifle shooting.
Awesome.
So I use that a lot, and it's so easy because you don't have to worry about the noise. Like, you can shoot in your backyard.
Yeah, no, I shoot in my garage.
Yeah,
I mean,
like my neighbors don't
yeah.
know, but like, I'm out there all the time.
You got to be safe about it.
Yeah.
You got to think about shot geometry because you can have a rogue arrow. I mean, equipment can fail, right? But
yeah. What do you got? Coffee in there?
Just water right now. I'm about ready to throw some vodka in there. I got a long day. I got a couple podcasts.
You're not allowed
today.
to do that.
Are you a coffee guy?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to make some coffee?
No. I honestly had like a quarter cup this morning after I was running with a friend of mine up in Golden, and that's like enough to get me going. I'm super sensitive to like every drug except for alcohol, which is good. Yeah. I mean, like pot, caffeine, nicotine, like whatever, like literally, like, you can probably give me about a fifth of what you give someone else, and I'm like good to go.
Yeah, 2 cups. So I had coffee in this originally, and then I put water. So now it's like it's got a little bit of coffee into it, cleaning out the cup.
Yeah. I bet it's like little cream, little coffee, little water.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's fun.
So let's get into what's your training regiment for this? I mean, how are you training 5 days a week? What are you doing recovery wise?
Yeah, so I kind of carry my endurance training from my obstacle racing background over. So that's like probably 4 days a week of running, as well as I try to do an hour a day of cardio, basically. So that's 3 or 4 days a week running, and then I'm on either a rower or an erg bike, a ski erg. In the winter, I'll go out backcountry skiing, whatever it takes to get that hour a day in of just building that cardio base. And then on top of that, I do about 5 strength workouts a week, which is mostly strongman based. So I train probably about 3 hours a day, about an hour of cardio and 2 hours of strength training, 5 to 6 days a week. So it's nice. I put in probably a good 15 plus hours a week to stay. I mean, the competition, it's serious weight and requires like real fitness to do.
You got to go into it in shape, right?
Exactly. And like the more in shape you're in, I mean, don't get me wrong, like anybody, I don't want to sound discouraged, like anybody can jump in and do this. And there's ways to like scale weights, like anybody can complete it as long as you can safely handle a firearm. But I mean, anything I do, I'm like just a hyper competitive person. So like I'm going in to win. Like I saw this competition. I was doing some other events called like High Rocks.
Okay.
As well as some Spartan race stuff. And I saw the tactical games, and what actually really threw me over the edge was that everything got canceled during COVID. So like Hunter and I are training together out in Boulder, and all our events get canceled. We have nothing else to do. We did that Murph challenge. After that was up, we're like, well, what do we do? These tactical games events were some of the only events that were still being held, because I mean, let's face it, like the people who are running these are pretty like blooded, like
sure,
hoorah Americans. Like they're not going to let COVID stop them putting on an event. And most of them are in southern states that are much more.
Most of them are outdoors.
They're all outdoors, yeah, and they're in places with more relaxed COVID laws, and they haven't canceled this. I mean, there's an event going on in Texas tomorrow, and I mean like everything we're seeing about Texas, it's like this, it's like the end of the world down there, and they're putting on an event.
But it makes sense. You got to be able to perform tactically.
Exactly.
If you're a special operator, SWAT guy, police officer, whatever, right? You got to be able to perform in whatever elements out there, right?
So I love it. But so it really like when I saw this opportunity to like pursue this, and I grew up shooting. I say I hunt, but I actually have not shot any game yet. My cousin takes me out, and
There's a lot of people. I struck out this year on my elk.
Really?
Man,
yeah. So I mean, I shoot my bow like a couple times a week, and I'm ready for it. Like I got my hunting license out there, and I'm ready to go. Looks like you guys do some awesome stuff out here. I'd love to get on board with sometime.
Oh man, yeah. This is the mecca.
Yeah.
I love it here.
But so I saw this event, and I was like, you know what? That's something I think I can go win that. And that's like how I approached it, was like, I can take the fitness that I've accumulated over the last 7 years of competing, and I can bring it into this event. And I know I'm going to have to work on my shooting. That's like my biggest weakness.
Do you use, sorry to interrupt you, but have you ever used that laser ammunition that you like put in a pistol or a rifle?
Yeah. So I've got one of those.
Does it work pretty good?
It does. The only drawback is, so it's pressed in with a rubber O-ring around it, and if it's not seated perfectly, it will be slightly off. So it's basically like having like a bad zero on your pistol. So you got to be careful about, like, you know, if let's say you're practicing 3 days before an event with your laser cartridge, and then you go into the event, that might be off by, you know, an inch to the right or something like that, and then it kind of it throws off your zero. So I try to not rely on that too much, especially for like high accuracy shooting, but it's really good for just like practicing, like reloading mags and drawing and whatnot, because you're getting, like, at the very least, you're seeing, okay, am I hitting, you know, a silhouette at, you know, 20 yards, whatever.
Sure.
Like it's very, very good for that, because you just can get, it's all about repetitions, I'm finding.
Yeah, I'd love to get together with you at some point too and figure that out, because that's an inexpensive way to shoot.
No,
I mean,
totally.
it's going to cost you some money up front, but
It's like $30 for a laser. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's nothing.
Awesome.
And it's a laser pointer with some O-rings around it.
Have you ever been down to Bristol Cone shooting range down here in Golden?
No, I've like talked to those guys, but I've been wanting
Super
to go
cool
down,
people. The owners live up here, and they have a whole virtual shooting thing down there, and they do all this situational awareness shooting.
Yeah.
Like they'll set up a living room and use simunition and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Colorado, we mostly train up in the the National Grasslands. Pawnee, I think, is the range is called up there.
Okay.
And it's kind of far. It's like an hour 15 drive from Boulder. But you get up there and you basically just have free range of, we're talking like thousands of acres of open grassland property, and you're allowed to shoot anywhere as long as you're not shooting incendiary rounds, like, or, you know, blowing up Tananite, like who's it, Tiger King, you know, like, as long as, like, that's, I save that for when I go back home to Vermont and I'm at my parents' place. Like, that's my Wild West of the East. Like, when I'm up in Vermont, we just have a house up in the mountains and we do whatever, you know, we blow stuff up. We just have do whatever we want up there. But no, shooting's really good up in Pawnee, because I'm not one to like really deal very well with regulations and kind of rules and people watching over my shoulder. I like to do my own thing. That's just kind of how I am. So put me out in the middle of, you know, basically the grasslands, and I can do my thing and you do workouts, shoot.
You're the Happy Gilmore of the OCR world.
Dude, totally. Like I've just like tried to live my life by like, just kind of pirate's code, like not really following.
I dig it, man.
Yeah, not
That's
following.
why we invited you in.
Totally, like
we're all waving black flags over here.
Dude,
I'm an old roadie, you know.
Exactly,
so, like,
man. Yeah. Exactly. Just too much, like, in this world, like, especially, you know, with all the 9 to 5 office jobs and I get it. People like got to make a living, and you know, all this, like, everything moving virtual. Like, we gotta just, I don't know, we got to get back to just being wild human beings. You know, it's great.
Absolutely. I don't know if you noticed, but I think, was it this month that Jeremy was just showing me before the podcast? It's the 25-year anniversary of Happy Gilmore.
Really?
And Adam Sandler's on the course. Jeremy, see if you can pull up that video. You got to see this, man.
I think it's still
I don't know if you're a fan of that, but
dude, absolutely.
Yeah, but
well,
that's
Happy
my
Gilmore
area.
grew up not too far from where I'm from. And he's right over at Manchester, New Hampshire. Where's he
this
from?
is the only movie, as I think I was in high school. I went to the movie theater 3 times to watch this because I was just like, this is God's gift to comedy right here.
It's been 25 years since I've done this.
Out there with the Air Jordans. It's fantastic.
I'm scared.
Billions of dollars later.
This is for you.
He fucking
Like,
crushes that
he
ball.
just
He still got
clobbered
it.
that thing.
I could never drive a ball that far.
I've tried. I broke a club trying that one.
You hit the ground?
Yeah.
Like, that was Wood status right there.
Yeah.
Like, he crushed that.
Oh, here's Shooter, too. I didn't see this part.
Let's see if it's Shooter's tour.
This is fucking great, man.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the short game. Drive for show, putt for the dub.
Like, I don't think he's done anything since this movie, right?
Well, Why would you have to, man?
Yeah.
You just retire after
Imagine
that.
that going through the rest of your life, like the next 25 years, just being Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
You know, every single person that sees you just Shooter.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Gilmore, wear something nice.
That's hilarious, man.
Anniversary, baby.
That's great. 25 years. That's crazy. It makes me feel old, though.
Yeah, a little bit. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yeah. No, I'll be 41 in March, actually. So.
Hey, I'm turning 31 in March.
Oh, really? When's
Yeah.
your birthday?
12.
Okay, mine's the 3rd, man. So
Oh, right on. So
happy birthday, dude.
you're Pisces, right?
Yeah.
Right on.
100%. Yeah.
Dude, I'm getting like more into this astrological stuff.
I was for a
like-
little bit, and then I met my wife, and I was just like, 10 years ago, I gave up on all that bullshit.
Yeah, so I think
I used
I'm,
to date hippie chicks, you know?
yeah, like I'm in the dating scene right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, like as much as it is like during COVID, but there's definitely some truth to it. And like I've found some girls I start hanging out with, and I find out like one of the first things I ask them is their birthday, and I kind of like look up this stuff, and I'm like, and I don't necessarily like look at whatever the reading is or whatever the horoscope, but I just I'm like, have I dated another girl that was an Aquarius or like a Scorpio or whatever?
I know how to find the crazy ones.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just like
their
it's just
sign,
like
you're
another
like,
like red
yeah,
flag. You're like,
yeah.
I know how this is gonna go, and the truth is like I'm not a big supporter of the whole like I don't know if you heard like the Enneagram and the love languages thing. If your wife's tried to like, it's like don't even bring it up. But I'm
she's not into any of that shit.
I hate putting labels on things, but I have learned that there is a certain people are different, right? And especially we've found that out in this last year. Like some people are different, and that's okay. But like, don't try to put certain people are just like oil and water,
right.
You know? And like they're good people, you're good people, but like maybe you just don't belong together. Like to be honest, like Hunter, who's like one of my best buddies, we have an absolute fantastic time. But he has an ego the size of a mountain, and I have
yes, he does.
and I have way too much pride, and you put those together and it can get a little explosive. So like we've learned that like we have to keep a little bit of distance, but also like spend as much time together as possible, like, you know, in the interim, because we just have too much.
Because it drives each other too at the same time.
It's such a
right?
drive.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have fun all day long, and we're training super hard. I mean, we're training, you know, we're putting as much time in and training as hard as like any other professional athlete out there. But like in between, we're playing Magic: The Gathering, and we're like I said, like, you know, like we're shotgunning beers at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like we're not alcoholics by any means, but like we'll challenge each other to maybe a pull-up competition or workout, and we're like, loser has to chug a Smirnoff Ice, you know, and that's like it's not going to kill you to you know pound a little. It relaxes your muscles, if anything, but just
going to lower your blood pressure a little bit.
Your blood pressure. You know, it's like a little bit of carbohydrates at the end of a workout. It's not going to kill you, but just I don't know, just doing fun stuff like that, and like,
it's probably better for you than a Red Bull or some shit like that. You know what
definitely.
I mean? With taurine and all that other crap in it.
Definitely. So like I like to say, like a lot of people like to have their beers at the end of the day, you know, or like a little glass of whiskey to wind down. I just save that for, you know, in the middle of the day sometime when I can make a bet or a challenge. Like I think one time we did, I forget what type of workout it was, but the loser had to, I think we called it a Chattanooga Choo Choo, and you had to take a Guinness and a White Claw, and you cut a hole like you're going to shotgun a White Claw, and you put the open bottle of the Guinness into it, and then it looks like the smokestack of like a train, of like a locomotive, and so you're like double shotgunning a Guinness through a White Claw.
A Guinness is hard to fucking shotgun too because it's like foamy, right?
It is, yeah.
Especially if you're just getting it out of the bottle, man.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta toughen up a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
you got to suck it down, right?
Fun stuff like that.
So speaking of fun stuff, on your Instagram page, I saw you on a bunch of motorcycles.
Yeah,
and a lot of them were older bikes too, like an older Yamaha. Are you an FXR guy? I thought I saw you on an FXR. Harley.
So that was actually a photo shoot we did with Harley. That was I think a Lowrider S.
Oh, okay. One of the newer bikes.
Fantastic bike. I'm actually looking at a Fat Boy right now. But at the same time, like I love older bikes. I'm in between bikes right now, but I've had Harleys.
Do me a favor before you go and get the Fat Boy.
Yeah.
And I know I'm tooting this horn all the fucking time on here. Go check out the old police bikes, the FXR models.
Yeah.
FXRP specifically. In my opinion, I've been on Harleys the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And that hands down is the best bike. They stopped manufacturing in '94. They only did it from '82 to '94.
Well, so I'm all about the old bikes. That's the last two bikes I had was a 70 and a 71 Yamaha CT.
Yeah.
Or CT1 and CT3. And just little two strokes, and like all my neighbors in Boulder hated me because I'm just like, bam, bam, and I'd have like,
two strokes are great, man. I love them.
I'd have a party at my house, and I'd like teach everybody how to ride a motorcycle. So there's like 15 kids like dropping the clutch, like running or doing laps around my neighborhood, and getting yelled at by neighbors. But like whatever, like we're out having a good time. Don't
Yeah.
We could be doing worse things.
Exactly.
But I love, like, I'm a super mechanical person. That's like, I kind of believe everybody was put on this earth with a set of skills, like regardless of what it is. And once you find what that skill is, like it's like your responsibility, just do as much with it as you can. And mine's like just working with my hands, fixing stuff and building stuff. That's why I love old.
You're actually a welder too, right?
Yeah,
so you fabricate a bunch of different stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So actually, one of my goals for 2021 is there's this event in on the Jersey Shore called TROG. It's called the Race of Gentlemen. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you've been in the motorcycle world, but it's a classic motorcycle drag race on the beach in Asbury Park. And it's so everything.
They used to do this in the 30s, like in Australia
they used to do
or
it
something,
with,
right?
They do it with cars too, don't they?
Yeah. Yep. So it's the event is totally
Wildwood.
Yep, in Wildwood. So they moved it down to Wildwood now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it. So it's like everybody has to dress like in the fashion of the times. Your motorcycle has to be pre-1947. Cars have to be pre-1944, I think. So
really?
Pre-wartime. And everything, like you can't have any like colored zip ties or like like red spark plug wires. Like everything has to be totally
Era-specific.
Very era specific. Yeah. So I'm looking for probably like a 46 or 47 Harley.
Okay.
Or maybe
FXR would be out of that, but
yeah. But I mean, like I'm also totally open to that,
Yeah.
and that's just like I love fixing stuff. Almost every vehicle or motorcycle I've owned, I've spent more time working on than actually driving.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's my therapy,
This is cool. This is like Goodwood.
Yeah. Oh, it's such an awesome event. And like, even like the starter girl
that
is
looks
like
fun.
dressed
That looks
up,
like my type of racing, man.
dude. Yeah. You should get get one of these like rat rods here and soup it up and come out and race it, man.
And you're hanging out on the beach. What's better than that?
You're hanging out on the beach, just having a good time, and like pretend. Like, what would be better than pretending? Like, everybody, I'm sure, talks like they're in the 1940s. I don't even know how you talk. Like, like a scene out of.
I don't know if I'd be into faking it up that much.
I don't know. I would just watch like It's a Wonderful Life a bunch of times and like try to talk like him. I don't know. But that's one of my goals for 2020.
Does that mean they can't have their vape pens out there and shit?
I think
got to smoke cigarettes.
I think you
with
gotta
no
have
filters.
you gotta have a pipe, or no filters.
Some mustache wax.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can only smoke Luckies.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. That looks like a lot of fun.
Their smooth flavor is healthier than other brands.
But yeah, hopefully you'll see me out there. I think they pushed the event off. They canceled last year and they pushed this one off to September or October, I think.
Yeah, Jersey's tough right now.
It is, yeah. I mean, I've been traveling all over since day one of COVID.
Great time to travel
Same.
if you're not worried about
yeah.
catching a virus, because the prices are fucking unbelievable.
Well, for work, like I work part time, like I said, aside from my Kempson Designs company where I build fitness equipment and obstacles, I work part time doing engineering work, fixing manufacturing equipment. And I was laid off for maybe like a month or two when COVID first started because I primarily travel. But after that, I've been on the road every single week for the last 9 months or so.
Yeah.
And
it depends on where you go. Like I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and it was like nothing had even happened, dude. They were just Broadway was pumping. There was fucking bachelorette parties going off. Nobody was wearing a mask. The bars were shoulder to shoulder. I was like, holy shit, dude, they're going for it here.
Yeah, and like I mean, I don't want to get political with anything, but like I'm definitely believe that we should kind of have the right to
You should be able to make your own
make your own
choice.
decisions.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I don't think that's the government's decision. So all I'll say is that, like, I appreciate places that, you know, states that have taken that kind of left the responsibility up to the households and, you know, individuals. So
I think it should be up to the individual. You know, like I walk a little bit more on the reserve side of it, just because of the fact that I'm dealing. All of my family's here. Mm-hmm. My grandmother just turned 80 yesterday. I've been trying to help them out a little bit, you know. So, so I think it's all, you know, what are your circumstances? If you're a young single guy like you, in good shape, out crushing it, trying to meet girls, I mean,
like so I was traveling.
Why not?
without reservation through this whole thing, whether it was for work, and that was part of the thing, is like I had to travel for work anyways, so I'm putting myself out there, and it's like I'm already so exposed. Like, what's the difference if I want to do a couple personal trips? But I always made sure, like, when I came home for family events or whatever, I would, you know, stay isolated for, you know, a week or two.
Make sure you're healthy
before.
Yeah.
But I got COVID maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and went through it. And so I've had it. Like, I've got 11 cousins on my mom's side. Every one of them has got it.
I mean,
I know.
Nice,
no, but seriously, like,
it is a good thing, I think.
The
like,
fact
I
that
kind of wish I would have got it like
totally
early on.
It was the biggest relief for me to have got it, and to know that, like, you know, at least for a while, I can't pass it to
anybody.
anybody.
Have you had any side effects or anything that you've noticed?
I mean, somewhere between a bad cold and a mild flu. And now my grandfather just got his vaccination. Everybody in my family above 60s.
Yeah, my grandparents are going to get their second one. So
so finally, like, I'm at a point where I can really feel comfortable. Like, it's my grandfather's birthday is March 6th. He's basically born 50 years before me. So we usually kind of do like a joint birthday celebration. We can actually do that now because he'll have his vaccination, and basically everybody who's at risk in the family has some sort of immunity. So we can. It'll kind of be like the coming back party.
That's awesome, man. Families need that, man. Like, you know, it killed me yesterday calling my grandmother, and she's like, "I just want to give you a hug." I was like,
"God,
damn it, man!"
That makes me
turned
tear
80
up.
yesterday. You know, I'm like, fuck.
I think, like, you know, people this day and age are really undervaluing the social interaction. Like, that's what makes, you know.
Especially with kids, man.
Yeah, like creating policies to just keep people alive is not enough, because we're dying inside, right? Like, these kids, these poor kids in high school and elementary school that are, like, at home going to classes online, and I have a young cousin whose only social interaction is playing Call of Duty with his friends online.
That's not good,
and it's like,
man.
that's not like it. Where does it become not worth it anymore? You know, where do you cross that line where it's more important to have to not have social interaction to, like, protect people? Like,
well, let's bring it even into the economy.
Yeah,
like, how many people are losing their homes or suffering, or
I
like their life savings, maybe their retirement?
Yeah,
there's going to be so much more ramifications on that level.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, it's created such a division in wealth in this country, where, like, it was already pretty bad, you know, between the upper middle class and the lower class. But there's been more opportunities for people in upper middle class to make money during COVID
100%,
than has ever been.
yeah.
I mean, with the stock market. And, like, if your business has the ability to shift, like, people have been absolutely crushing it, whereas the people who did get laid off or are working minimum wage jobs, mom and pops are just getting absolutely crushed, and it's just creating this huge division in wealth. And the sad thing is, all the policymakers are on the upper end of that spectrum. So, as much as they say they're looking out for people, like, they're crushing it.
There's people capitalizing on this,
which is, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you can't blame them for doing that. But at the same time, it's like, people, like, what about the other people who are just getting absolutely, like, you know, demolished from this? It's sad. I've been trying to do my best to support local businesses any way possible. Like, for my equipment for these competitions, like, all my guns are all manufactured in the United States. All my parts, my vests, like, everything, I try to make sure is all manufactured in the USA. When I travel, which I do a lot for work, I try to always go to, like, avoid, like, any kind of chains. Like, I always try to eat at local restaurants and whatnot. Go to local gyms to work out, and just in any way possible, just try to, like, pump money back into, because that's what I run a small business too. So, like, it's, you know, it's all going to come full circle in the end of things.
You know, the worst is, like, the past like decade, talking about kids just becoming like noodles, like, and then what do? We lock them up for a year. So
Right.
it's like the worst case scenario. Things were already
they need the interaction more than
downhill.
That's
and
like-
then what do? We put the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's why I love, like, when you talk about wanting to have me on, I started looking at what you guys are about and the fact that you have people here in person. I'm like, this is what the world needs right now. Like, the world needs more getting outside, more face-to-face interaction, and just, like, to be honest, like a general being less soft, like kind of harden up a little bit. I'm not like a super hardo by any means, but like just toughen up a little bit, and like live life.
Thank you. I appreciate you noticing that. And we've actually passed on some huge guests just because the fact they weren't able to come in because of COVID restrictions or they weren't comfortable. And, it hasn't been easy, but it is totally worth it, man. And I'm not doing this for gobs of money, obviously.
Yeah. But I mean, stick to your guns. You're trying to send a message of just, like living.
We're actually flying to San Diego next week to go record one.
Yeah.
So we're going to people, whatever we have to do, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, keep like human interaction is like it's dying right now, and we got to keep it alive.
This has given me an excuse more than anything to hang out with people and meet somebody new.
Oh yeah.
Where I couldn't imagine if I didn't have this, if I was just sitting at home, like, I don't know what I'd be doing. I mean, obviously I'd be
we were talking
probably
about this
in a
before
little
you
bit
came
better
in.
shape. My liver would feel a little bit better from doing all this podcasting.
But you're living, man. You know, like you look back on it, like
I get to meet great people like you, man. This has been a lot of fun, man. We've been burning through the time, actually. I don't want to cut you off, and you got to get to a flight here. But before we let you go, man, what do you got coming up next?
So
what's next for Matt?
So like I said, Texas is my next Tactical Games event. I just missed the podium by literally like a couple shots on my last two events, and I'm really like going to come into that with a full head of steam. And then after Texas in May, I'm doing another event in Price, Utah, which is about 2 hours southeast of Salt Lake. And with that one, I don't know how familiar you guys are.
When is that happening?
May 2nd.
Awesome.
I believe is the date. April 2nd? May 2nd? I think it's May 2nd.
Okay.
And if you guys are familiar at all with like the CrossFit world, I've talked Jacob Hepner. He's like a top 10 games athlete for the last few years, into coming out for that event. And Matt Frazier, who's, just recently retired 5-time champion, has also like said that he's going to come do an event at some point this year. So I'm trying to gear up to be ready for those guys. Like I love Jacob, and we've competed in a lot of events in the last few years. An absolute phenomenal guy, but he's still like, I'm competing. At the end of the day,
he's another pure spectrum athlete too.
Absolutely. And absolutely
I've
fantastic.
been meaning to
dude.
get him on here too. We've been going back and
You
forth.
should,
so
man.
Shout out to Jacob, man.
He's one of my favorite guys to like meet up wherever. We're gonna do a training camp, like a shooting workout training camp at his new facility in Kansas.
Perfect.
At the end of March. But yeah, man, any chance you get to interact with that guy, like just totally positive, awesome guy.
Oh yeah.
So I
love what he does, man. I love his outlook too.
So I've got that coming up for these Tactical Games events. Hunter and I are also going to go for the Murph World Record again. I say we, as in we're both training for it, but when it comes down to game day, we're going to be going against each other. Last year was pretty darn tight, neck and neck, and I think it's going to be the same this year. So we're going to go down to a Fort Bragg down in North Carolina, and do that with a bunch of level 1 Delta Force guys down there who brought us in last year. And then after that, I'll be preparing for the Tactical Games National Championship in Texas in November, as well as designing 2 courses, obstacle courses, for events in the spring and summer. So I'll be
You're busy, man.
I'm a very, very busy man, but that's just how I operate. Some people are really good at like having just one thing and just focusing entirely on that, and that's fantastic for them. But I'm like, I got to have a couple balls in the air. That's just how my brain works,
Yeah, you got to keep it moving, man. I'm the same way. That's why I got multiple projects going.
right. Like some people will look at you and they'll be like, dude, like you got to focus on, like my brother says to me all the time, he's like, you have to focus on one thing. But like, that's not how we are. Like, we thrive with having a couple different things going on.
Yeah, I live in chaos is is my happy spot, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. It's my happy place.
It gets boring sometimes if you don't.
Oh, 100%, man. You got to keep it moving, So between a family and a couple podcasts, and this is what I'm trying to do full time, So it's
just having conversations
just having
with good
fun.
people.
Yeah,
like,
just meeting cool people, man. That's what it's all about.
You can't beat that.
And hanging out with my boys on the other one, shooting the shit about nothing and everything that we don't know about.
Not to open up new cans of worms, but what do you talk about on your other podcast?
The other one is sports, and it's just our personal opinions. None of us are experts in it, So, local news, regional news, that sort of thing, like big news topics, funny shit. It's just really to get a laugh, hang out, have a drink.
Heck yeah.
And then, we're kind of using it. We all come from the entertainment industry, and I know 3 people offhand that have committed suicide this year because of that. Mm-hmm. And when you're living that rock and roll lifestyle, it's not what everybody thinks it is right out of the gate. The guys that work in that industry are welders and fabricated-minded people. They build shit every day, 20 hours a day. You get dropped off at where you need to, you get driven and picked up from work every day. You get fed. You have people that do your laundry because you're so busy working. Yeah. You're sleeping on these $1 million tour buses. It's an extreme high, man. And you're around good people. You have to be. It's that military or firefighter mentality. So you're just surrounded by really good people. Yeah. And when you take that away from somebody for longer than a year, these guys are used to being home for maybe 3 weeks, right? Yep. At a time. And that's it. And the rest of the time they're around these people. So that's all been taken away and they've been isolated. Some people have done really well with it. I started a podcast, and I had left the touring industry some time ago and have moved more into major sporting events and big corporate stuff, prior to this. But yeah, it's when you take that away from somebody, like when I used to go on world tours, you'd be out for, 3 to anywhere to 8 months at a time with the same group of guys. Yeah. They became your best friends because they had
you're like
to
on a sports team at that point.
Exactly,
right?
100%. Yeah. And you're talking, you would come home and just go into this depression for like a week. You're like, I don't even want to be home. And I was living in Hermosa Beach on the Strand, you know what I mean? And was still depressed. I was like, this sucks, One of the best spots in the country, in my opinion.
No, it gets super lonely. Like, honestly, I feel it just because I'm on the road so much. And, like, when that gets taken away and you're in one spot for a minute, like, the world kind of stops. Yeah. It's a little scary.
Yeah, so I feel like one of the things that we're trying to do there is bring some of that back a little bit. Yeah. So there's some of that camaraderie. And we're calling, we have a guest on every episode, and it's normally a road guy that we haven't seen in a year, and just catching up with them, see what they're doing and that sort of thing. So supporting that community as much as we can, too.
Yeah, I'll have to give some of that a listen, too.
Yeah, man, check it out. It's Show Ready Podcast. It's on Instagram. It's brand new. I think we just did episode actually comes out today.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, give it a listen if you're into stuff like that. Man, thank you so much for coming in, dude. This has been a lot of fun. We're going to have to do it again. This was super short. I feel like we could have gone hours.
We'll lay some groundwork and we'll have a lot to talk about. Next
Absolutely.
Time we come in,
maybe we'll come out and support you. I would love to come to one of the tactical games. So maybe we'll cruise out to Utah.
That'd be a perfect one. There probably something. pretty quick drive. So.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that all boils out.
Yeah, have a chat with Hepner before it, and maybe we can kind of work something out.
Yeah, we'll do a couple out there. One with you, and one with Hepner, or at the same time or something.
Or the two of us just chirp it. Like, we talk a lot of trash back and forth. It's kind of become our forte. So, like, if you want to get us chirping,
I'll just let you guys do it, and I'll just hang out and watch.
If you could put me and him here on opposite sides of the table, like, dude, we would have so much fun. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do that, man. We'll figure something out for sure to hang out with you guys.
And he bow hunts too. So.
Oh, he does. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, no, I've been dying to get him in here. It's just been timing. It's been crazy, but he's definitely on the short list to get in here. So
awesome.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, where can people find you? You have your fabrication company that creates badass workout equipment, like for big dudes like me.
Yeah.
It's super rigid, super strong. It's not your typical Chinese made shit.
Yeah,
right?
all U.S. steel, everything manufactured in the U.S. So everything's run through my Instagram channel. Basically, that's what, like, I'm an ADD person. I don't have time to focus on anything
drop
else.
Your Instagram,
everything's
Twitter,
through
all that
at Rocky Mountain Kempson. I don't mess around with Twitter or Facebook really. And then I have a website, which is kempsondesigns.com, and you can find the links right on my Instagram there. So
Awesome.
I'm posting stories like every day about what I'm doing. So if you want to follow
Go
along,
follow Matt. He's got a great page. He's a super active dude, and he's always doing cool shit and posting cool shit. So I enjoy following your page. Man.
Whenever I travel so much, so if I post something, I'm in your city or I'm in your place, like hit me up. I'm always happy to get a workout in, like whatever, go on an adventure, go for a hike, like whatever, like we'll do it, bring me out on your boat, let's go fishing, whatever.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in again, man. I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing, and stay in touch, man. Let us know what you got going on. Let us know when you're in Colorado too.
For sure. It's all the time.
Anytime,
so.
dude. We'll hang out. So
awesome. Thanks, Bobby.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for listening. Jeremy, how you doing back there?
That's great.